Welcome to the Flat Track Factory. Merry Christmas. During the holidays, I try to get out into the shop and do the jobs that I just really don't want to do. Unglamorous, but necessary. Flat track framers use a oil impregnated bronze bushing or bearing, and it gets just real dirty and loses grease. So this is something I try to do twice a year. I went ahead and pulled it apart for you in case anybody's interested in what goes on there. So I think I'll give you a look. What are we looking at here? Well, this is the swing arm for a Ajm Rotax by J&M Racing Frames out of Poolsville, Maryland, here kind of on the East Coast. Mike does great work, been doing this for a long time, and he's worked with me to build a couple chassis, and this is one of my favorites. It's chromoly tubing and square sections, and then he, at great begging, nickel plated it for me. I really like that look. I used to think it was kind of antiquated, but living with it's just incredible. It's a great way to maintain it. Obviously, it's dirty. It's war weary. I'm kind of showing you a bit of the ugliness. I don't think anybody's going to watch this, but then again, those videos that I think nobody's going to watch just seem to be the most popular. So. Might be a little bit too long for some and too short for others, as is usual for YouTube. So I cleaned this up. What I'm going to do here, of course, is take some Flitz polish and clean all of the oxidation and dirt and grease off of it. But for the purposes of the video today, I want to show you some of the disassembly and reassembly of the swing arm bushings or bearings. So here is a steel collar that goes inside the swing arm, and then inside the swing arm is the oil impregnated bronze bushing. This gets just packed with debris and grit, and I like to wash the bike and keep it clean, so that obviously cuts both ways, keeps it clean, and I guess rinses the grease out. So here's how that works. Let's take a look at the back side here and see if I can get you a better look of this. Let me back up before I go forward, anticipating some questions. Flitz polish. I'm a bit of a zealot on this product. I believe it's a German product. Does amazing for cleaning up nickel frames. I think it's just great. It's a fun thing to argue with your friends about. It's like almost like motor oil, which one's the best. As far as the design of the chassis goes, I really don't know how this came about. It'd be really fun to get Mike Owen to talk to us about frame design. Kind of a fun story, or I think so anyway. When I was a teenager, I went with a sponsor to Terry Knight's shop in Bellingham, Washington to pick up a bike. And we were going to go race it in Monterey and maybe somewhere else on the way home. And of course it wasn't done. And I guess Mike Owen of J&M Racing Frames that made this frame was there working or apprenticing or both. And I actually met him way back when I was a teenager in Bellingham, Washington. So it was kind of fun to reunite with him a little bit. But anyway, this is a modern version of the Rotax frame. I think it's probably safe to say that there's some Terry Knight in it. Single shock design, that's why it has this bracing here for the single shock, which runs up to the kind of the crotch of the motorcycle. I'm a huge fan of the single shock for two main reasons. One is dual shock technology seems to have been ignored, and there really is not that much good out there. And even the most premium stuff is really not considered race grade as far as I can tell. It's more street grade, and then you have to beg somebody to try to mod it for you. And people just really aren't into that technology anymore. Furthermore, to adjust ride height on a single shock, you can do it quite easily by just changing the eyelet, basically screw it in and out where it attaches. Here, just make that distance a little bit longer and shorter, and one shock adjusts the whole bike. On a dual shock bike, you'll have to either move mounting positions, or if they're adjustable, you have to adjust two of them, and you have to maintain two of them, and it's just a pain in the ass, and I don't care for it. So I really like the single shock. I've had one with a lay down, with the more of a lay down shock, like it mounts in this direction, and then I have another chassis with it more of a side shock. Quite frankly, I'm not sure I can tell the difference on that, but the ergonomics in the chassis difference, when we went to this design, Mike and I talked about some things and just made the bike more comfortable for me, taller in certain ways, something we could talk about later. But in any case, big aside here, this is what we're looking at because I think some people will be curious. Now let's get back into what I'm doing actually here right now. This bearing needs to be cleaned out and replaced, and I'll quickly show you how to do that. In the interest of classic Flat Track Factory tangent, I'm going to go ahead and do a little dab of flitz right here, and maybe I'll remember to work on this for you later after it does its business. I put way too much. Let's give that a little wipe there. Let that work in. And then double, triple, quadruple aught steel wool is great. Probably should do this in the spot. I could actually enjoy it, but I figured this will be on camera and you can kind of watch it. Maybe I'll remember to go back to it later. You spend an hour or two in the shop doing this and people will think you have a brand new motorcycle. That's why I think the nickel is incredible. No, it's not. It's kind of a pain in the ass to get it done. I think it's extremely toxic to the environment or people or both, or I don't know, whatever, but it's tough to get it done anymore. All right. Now maybe I'll do what this video is supposed to be about. I better change the title of this video so I don't get popped for bait and switch. All right. So the steel collar is going to go in there. It's going to have an O-ring. Now, of course, I would grease this up quite a bit more when I'm going to finally put it together, but more for demonstration purposes. So on this side, this goes against the engine here, and this O-ring here is going to get located in there, and then this circlip will go here, and then there'll be another O-ring on the back side, which will get held in. And that's kind of how we do it. So I'll do that real quick. I suppose there's any chance in hell I can get this on the first take and make it seem like I'm actually good at this with the right tool. Factory is a bit of a joke, actually. It's not to be taken too seriously. Oh, but that was kind of factory. Yeah, sweet. So that's how that works. And then on the other side, I can show you on the side over here. And then this O-ring will go on this side. Slide that around the chassis there and around the engine on this piece actually, and then goes inside the chassis here. Important to keep that in good condition. I can tell you when people ask me to come look at the bike, if I can get the shocks off of it, this is one of the first things I check. They're neglected a lot, especially if you aren't used to this. Maybe you're used to a modern dirt bike and maybe they're engineered a little more aggressively to resist dirt. Remember, these framers are built. They're handcrafted. I mean, they're artists and engineers and passionate racers. So I don't think they're necessarily built like a Japanese motorcycle that has a huge team of engineers that try to keep them in perfectly clean condition with maybe designs that are a little more resistant to this. But this is part of the allure of Flat Track, or at least to me, is you get to have a relationship with these guys and see how they build things and maintain them. So anyway, that's a little bit of chassis swing arm talk and maintenance and a little bit of shock rant. So thanks for watching. I almost forgot. Let's get back here. I don't even know if this will even be worth showing. Let's had a moment to work. Let's see if I can make this visible. I don't know, this will be visible. I'll probably just cut this out, but you can get crazy here and really make it shine. Really pops when you unload. Get that cleaned up. Not sure if that's visible or not, but this chassis's got some miles on it and cleans up nicely. Thanks for watching.